You know those companies, right? The brilliant, purpose-driven ones that feel like they're going to change the world? We're all drawn to them. But what if the very thing that makes them so powerful is also their biggest risk? Today, we're diving into the hidden, shadow side of these visionary companies.
I mean, think about giants like Amazon, Tesla, or Apple. They were all built on these incredible, world-changing visions. But what if there are warning signs? Kind of like a single red flag on a beach, a small warning about a powerful, unseen current. Signs of deep-seated issues that we tend to overlook because, well, their success is just so dazzling.
And this all boils down to one fascinating and, honestly, kind of unsettling question. What if a company's greatest strength is also its greatest weakness? Is it possible that the very traits that fuel their incredible rise are also planting the seeds for their eventual downfall? Let's dig in.
So first, to really get this, we have to understand the allure. Why are we so captivated by these visionary leaders and their companies in the first place?
Well, it really taps into a basic human need, right? The need to belong. These purpose-led companies offer more than just a paycheck. They offer a kind of shortcut to finding meaning, and maybe even more importantly, to finding your tribe, a group of people who see the world the way you do. It's a powerful feeling, being part of something bigger.
And I mean, check this out. This quote from Elon Musk is the perfect example. His goals aren't just about selling cars. He's talking about making humanity a multi-planet civilization and creating a more inspiring future for all. Now that is a grand, seductive vision. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that?
Okay, but this is where the picture gets a little more complicated. We have to look at the emerging shadow side, that tipping point where a celebrated strength starts to look more like a serious blemish.
Just look at this contrast. On one side, you have the public narrative we all love. You know, the visionary dropout, the introverted genius. But then you have the reality that people who actually worked with them describe. Visionary starts to sound a lot like dictator-like speeches. Passionate becomes an unwavering belief in their own opinion. This is the dark side that often gets hidden behind the viral success stories.
So how do we actually spot this happening? Well, there's a really useful concept called a systemic red flag. Think of it as a warning light on your dashboard. It's a sign that some core, healthy principle of how an organization should work is being violated, and that a company's big strength is about to become a critical weakness.
So let's get practical. Let's walk through the 7 specific red flags you can look for. This is basically our systemic checklist.
That's right, there are 7 of them. 7 key warning signs, all based on these systemic principles. Let's break them down one by one.
All right, so here's a quick roadmap of what we're about to cover. We've got the viral narrative, getting intoxicated with the founder, an excessive focus on leadership, exploiting so-called family entanglements, weaponizing the need to belong, creating an imbalance of exchange on purpose, and finally, a disordered respect for time.
Okay, first up, red flag number 1. This is when a company's healthy purpose morphs into an all-consuming cause. It stops being a mission and becomes an ideology. And when that happens, forget about it. Any counter-narrative, any different point of view just gets completely shut down. There's only one right way to think, and that's it.
Red flag number 2 is all about that viral narrative of the founder. We get so swept up in their amazing story, they dropped out of college, they overcame some huge obstacle, that we start to tolerate really bad behavior, temper tantrums, being boastful, an intimidating management style. It all kind of gets a pass because the myth is just so compelling. And number 3 is when a toxic command and control culture really takes root. It usually starts with the founders surrounding themselves with yes men. Then, of course, all decision-making grinds to a halt at the top, creating a huge bottleneck. Pretty soon, that breeds a culture of blame, fear, and distrust. And the end result? You guessed it, bullying and serious mental health issues start to pop up all over the place.
Now this next one is subtle, but man is it powerful. Red flag 4 is about what are called family entanglements. It's this wild idea that we often unconsciously try to repeat painful patterns from our childhood in our work lives. So if you had a really dominant or distant parent, you might find yourself drawn to work for a really dominant, distant leader. It's a familiar feeling, even if it's a painful one, and it creates a really toxic dynamic.
Which leads us perfectly into red flag number 5. You hear this all the time, right? People will proudly say, oh, this place has a real family feel. And on the surface, that sounds amazing. Who wouldn't want to work somewhere that feels like family?
But here's the dark side. What happens when you decide you want to leave that family? Well, suddenly, it's not just a career move. It's seen as an act of betrayal. People who leave are often talked about in negative ways.
That deep need to belong gets twisted and used as a weapon to keep people in line.
All right, on to red flag number 6, creating an intentional imbalance of exchange. This is where a company uses things like crazy high salaries, over-the-top gifts, or unbelievable perks to essentially buy your loyalty. It creates this powerful feeling that you're in their debt, which makes it so much harder to leave. Even if the culture is terrible, you feel like you owe them. And finally, red flag number 7 is a disordered respect for time. This little story about Steve Jobs is the perfect example. So when Apple was assigning employee badge numbers, co-founder Steve Wozniak, the technical genius behind the first computer, got badge number 1. Jobs couldn't stand being second, so he demanded to be given badge number 0. It seems like a small petty thing, but it reveals a profound lack of respect for the people who came first and laid the groundwork. So we've gone through all 7 flags, but why is it so important to spot these things early? Well, the key is to think of these not just as hindsight observations after a company fails, but as predictive tools we can use right now.
So, let's do a super quick recap of the 7 red flags. You've got the viral narrative that stifles any disagreement, the founder intoxication that excuses bad behavior, the excess of leadership that creates a culture of fear, those tricky family entanglements that replay old wounds, exploiting our need to belong, creating an imbalance of exchange to buy loyalty, and that disordered respect for time. These are the big ones to watch for.
And here's the most crucial part of all of this. These failure points, these red flags are always there way earlier than most people realize. The warnings are there for everyone to see. The problem is that in the middle of all the excitement and success, they just get ignored.
Which really brings us to this powerful thought that sums it all up. In the pursuit of success, few stop to check their direction. We get so focused on hitting that big goal that we don't even notice we might be heading straight for a cliff.
So, I'll leave you with a question to chew on. The next time you read about some celebrated game-changing company, which of these 7 red flags are you going to look for first?